I don't read books casually. I notice things. The decisions, the tension, the moments that feel a little off. I'm Robin, and this is Shelf Esteem Issues, where every book gets looked at a little closer than it probably wants. Because if something doesn't sit right, I'm going to talk about it. And if that sounds like your kind of thing, you are in the right place. Welcome. Okay, Shelflings, I'm back where I belong. Not because it's safe. Not that I've ever really aimed for that. Not because it's better. But because there's something about stories like this that pull you in differently. They don't ask for your attention. They take it. Now, no warning, no permission, just mine now. And Psycho Fae? Yeah. This one knows exactly what it's doing. And it's a little too confident about it if you ask me. Today, we're talking about Psycho Fae by Jasmine Moss. A continuation that doesn't just build on the first book. It tightens everything. Which sounds great until you realize what that actually means for you. The stakes, the relationships, the tension, and more importantly, the control. That word is doing a lot of work here. Because this story isn't loud about what it's doing. It doesn't need to be. And honestly, that's what makes it worse. It lets the characters make decisions and then makes you sit with them. No skipping ahead. You're staying right there. And that's where it gets interesting. For the book, slightly stressful for me. And just so you know, you're not walking into this blind. You've got characters like Sadie, who is very much still navigating what control actually looks like for her. And doing her best, which I respect. And then you've got figures like Asher and Jax, who don't exactly make things easier. If anything, they woke up and chose complication. They complicated everything a lot, consistently, impressively. And as usual, let me set that tone for you. This isn't a world that explains itself to you. It expects you to keep up. No recap, no hand-holding. We're just moving. And the deeper you get into it, the more you realize this isn't about what's happening on the surface. It's about what's underneath, which is where all the problems are, naturally. Motivation, power, intent, and the space between what a character says and what they actually mean. That space, that's where the story lives, and it's crowded in there. And it's uncomfortable in a way that works, which I don't love. But I respect, because you're constantly reading between the lines, not just watching what's happening, but questioning why. And sometimes questioning your own judgment while you're at it. And that shift, that's what pulls you in. Now, if you've been here before, if you listened to my episode on the first book, you already know this world doesn't deal in simple dynamics, but this time it's sharper, more precise, less forgiving, more deliberate. There's less reaction and more intention, which means every choice feels a little heavier and you can feel it. And I'll say this, some of these intentions, they're not loud, not dramatic, not explosive, but they linger. And they will sit with you longer than you expect. And that's almost worse. Actually, it is worse. Let's talk about the characters, because this is where everything starts to lock into place. What Psycho Fae does really well is it stops asking you to immediately understand people, and instead lets them unfold. On their timeline, not yours. Slowly, through choices, through restraint, through moments where you're not entirely sure what direction things are going to go. And you don't get confirmation right away, which is bold. And that uncertainty, that hook, that's the hook. Because you're not just following a storyline. You're watching people make decisions in real time and trying to figure out what those decisions actually mean. And whether you should be concerned, you probably should. Not everyone is easy to read. Some characters hold their cards close. Some of them practically hide the deck. Some don't say what they mean. And some say exactly what they mean. And that's what makes it crazy. There's something about honesty that feels threatening here. Which brings me this: red flag or redeemable. This isn't a clean category in this book, not even a little. And honestly, I don't think it's supposed to be, because the lines here aren't clear. They shift. See what I did there? Shifter, psychophey. Anywho, conveniently, suspiciously, depending on the moment, the perspective, the stakes. And instead of giving you easy answers, this story lets those lines blur. So you could sit there and question everything. Love that for us. But if you're looking at someone like Asher, you're going to have questions, valid ones. And if Jax is involved, you're probably already side-eyeing the situation, as you should. And Sadie? She's right in the middle of it all, trying to figure out what she's willing to accept and what she's not. And those lines, they matter, which makes every interaction feel a little more loaded, a little more intentional, and a lot harder to ignore, even when you want to. Now, let's talk about tension, because this is where Psychofae really stands out. It doesn't rely on constant action to keep you engaged. It builds tension in quieter ways, which somehow hits harder in pauses, in looks, in conversations that feel like they mean more than what's being said, because they do. And that question of tension, it lingers. It doesn't resolve quickly. Definitely no quick fixes here. It stays with you. You will think about it later. Just saying. And that's what makes the reading experience feel different, because you're not rushing through it. You're sitting in it, processing, reprocessing, maybe overthinking a little, trying to figure out what's coming next without being fully sure you want to know. And yet, you will keep reading. And respectfully, that level of control over my emotions, not appreciated at all. But I'm still here. Now, let's get into something else. Thirsty for trouble. And this time, we're approaching it differently, because this isn't just about attraction. It's about presence. The kind you notice immediately. Energy. The kind of character that walks into a scene and shifts it without raising their voice, which is a choice. The kind of dynamic where you don't need big moments to feel the impact. It's subtle, very intentional, very aware, but it's there. And once you notice it, you can't ignore it. And not that you want to. And let's be honest, certain characters know exactly what they're doing with that energy. They are not confused. They're not guessing. They're not unsure, not even a little. And that confidence, that's where things start to get interesting. For them, for us, for everyone involved. Because it's not about whether you like it. It's about whether you're paying attention to it. And I know you are. I just know it because I was. Now, what are you actually getting from this book? You're getting a story that doesn't rush to explain itself. You're getting characters that require attention and patience. Let's not forget that. You're getting tension that builds instead of explodes. And a narrative that trusts you to keep up, which I appreciate, even if it challenges me some. This isn't a passive read. It asks something from you. Your focus, your interpretation, your patience. But in return, it gives you something that feels more layered, more intentional, more controlled. And the control, that's what makes it compelling. Oh, and slightly addictive, if I'm being honest, because nothing here feels accidental. Every choice matters. Every single one. Every moment connects, even when you don't fully understand it right away. You will, eventually, and that's part of the experience. Final thoughts? This isn't a story that tries to win you over immediately. It's not chasing you. It doesn't have to. It takes its time. And if you give it that time, it pays off in tension, in character development, in moments that land quietly, but stay with you. Those are the ones that matter. And that kind of storytelling, it hits differently. And I respect that deeply. Final verdict? If you're looking for something fast-paced and easy, this isn't that. But if you want something that pulls you in slowly, holds your attention, and makes you think about what you're reading while you're reading it, this is worth it. And if you've already stepped into this world, well, then you already know. This isn't the kind of story you just walk away from. It doesn't really give you that option. Join me next week for another story that probably should have ended differently. Oh, and this one? We're stepping out of fantasy once again. It's okay, though. We're stepping into something a little more grounded, but not necessarily safer, which I guess you could say is already a red flag. Episode 15 is The Crash by Freda McFadden. And if you know anything about her writing, you already know I'm not going to be okay. Emotionally, mentally, possibly spiritually. Until then, read something questionable, trust your instincts, or don't. Bye, my loves.